Hello everybody, I'm Perry. Welcome to Awaken Hidden Truth with Scott Lemriel. Hello Scott, how are you?
I'm fine, Perry. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
You've been better, I think, too.
Yeah, I am better. Okay, Scott, what do you have to tell us today? Do you have anything to say?
Sometimes I'm a little bit allergic to my cat. But not all the time, because when I really put love out properly, I have no allergies.
Uh-huh.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
Because of all the conversations I've had with people around the world in the last weeks, people that write to me and contact me to get help and assistance to remember who they are from all over the world. That's my little cat Starlight saying, "Hi, I'm involved too. I'm here on this radio show. Nice to meet you." Cats are very telepathic, and they wonder why people can't hear them or speak with them, because normal human beings from other planets can. My cat can see an extraterrestrial come here or down the street and talk with them. But the human beings around this planet don't hear. They don't see. They don't understand. They think animals are just stupid. They're not.
Scott, and how can we get that ability back to be able to talk?
There's something that people from other worlds use called direct knowing perception. The ability to look into the universe on any dimensional level, in any parallel dimension, out in space, on the backside of the moon, on Mars, on Jupiter, back down the pastime track, out in the Pleiadian universe, out into the Andromeda galaxy, up into the dimensions above the physical universe. It's the ability to look into that and know things with certainty, to know them by direct perception, without doubt, without fear, without uncertainty, without theory, without speculation at all. So we should talk about the difference between direct knowing perception and faith or belief. They believe or talk to people from outside by other people who teach them faith and belief, who were taught faith and belief. Most of those people do not have any real knowing experience about what they teach. They're teaching people to believe something on faith or what's in a book, and not asking people to have direct experience about it. That leaves people controlled, manipulated by corrupt priestcraft, corrupt government people, people that want to keep people ignorant of the truth so that they can lord their power over them. That's what's going on this planet. It has been going on for a very long time. When a person awakens their inner ability to look into the universe and know things again with certainty, all of that negative control drops away. And they're no longer under the control of any negative power or being or technology. Even on this planet, there are people walking around on Earth today, invisible to Earth people, that are here that have kept this world from being destroyed in nuclear war at least 12 times during the Cold War with the former Soviet Union between the United States, when they actually pushed the button 12 times to annihilate this planet. Highly classified. And each time they did that, the launch computers were shut down in the United States and in the Soviet Union. They were not allowed to have their nuclear war. And they weren't the ones who shut them down. It's not something you tell the public. That when they wanted to go to nuclear war, some other force intervened. It didn't tell them how to brush their teeth. It didn't tell them how to put their pants on. It didn't tell them how to run governments. It didn't interfere with their lives in any way, except one thing. Do whatever you want, but not that. There are people and beings from other worlds who are not going to tolerate that. Ever. No matter what powers on Earth make. Because it would be harmful to life beyond Earth, and that will not be acceptable. People on Earth don't have the right to be unconscious, bumbling fools and blow themselves up and harm people elsewhere. That's not acceptable. So when I speak about direct knowing perception, I mean the ability of you, the real being, not the body, not the physical eyes. To use the imagination, which does not work in the brain, by the way. It's not in the brain of a human being. The gray matter of the skull cannot look at a motion picture camera projecting images on a movie screen. There's no such mechanism in the brain. Yet people think they're imagining this stuff in their brain, their head, between their ears. This is not true. That's just a bunch of brainwash. When a person imagines, say, a beautiful waterfall flowing down 3 tiers of lava rock, beautiful tropical flowers and hummingbirds flying around, hovering in front of your face, looking you in the eye and talking to you, smelling the beautiful scent of the flowers and the fresh, clean air near a mountain background. When you do that, you close your eyes and see that. You're not seeing it in your brain, and your brain's not the one seeing it. You, the being, are seeing that somewhere in creation, someplace. But you've never been taught that. People have never been shown this growing up on this planet. So they don't have any understanding of it. They don't believe in it. They think it's fantasy. Imagination is not fantasy. It's how this world, all galaxies were created. Using imagination from beings, not body, beings. The nature of an atma or soul is spherical. It's like the shape of a planet, only it's energy. It's spherical. That's the image we are providing to the source of the creator itself. It can't be destroyed. It can't be divided. It's not made of atomic energy. It can't be destroyed in a hydrogen explosion, hydrogen bomb explosion, which only releases more energy but doesn't destroy energy. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can change form, like taking frozen water and heating it up until it becomes a liquid pool of water. If you heat it up more, it becomes a gas and floats up in the air. Or releases oxygen and hydrogen, or it takes the form of water vapor like clouds. So it's taking different forms, but it's still what it is. People on Earth don't remember what they are. What they are is not the physical body. It never has been. It's not the human form that was created in the image of some supreme source. It's the spherical, energetic aspect of you that is eternal, that is in that same image. People often refer to soul in religious books on planet Earth, but people that teach it don't understand what it is they're talking about. They don't have a clue. It's all faith. Believe what I tell you. Trust in faith. Go to heaven when you die. There's no guarantee anybody's going to return to heaven when they pass away, never to come back here. In fact, of the matter is, when people pass away, they're often met with relatives or people that know, or an archangel or something compels them, convinces them to come back to Earth and reincarnate here in another body with no memory. That's the path of tyrants. People have been posing as gods from other worlds and compelling people to reincarnate here with no memory. Like a prison planet, you don't even need guard towers. If people compulsively reincarnate, not even knowing why, they think it's God's will, why would they change it? Everybody's busy, productive, doing mining, getting rare earth minerals out of the ground, keeping the culture and then business running around the world. And materials are being shipped off this planet in a classified space program for 60 years. That people don't know has been taking place at all. To get what? Antiquated, outdated, old extraterrestrial technology. It's not what people think. If people on Earth knew who they were, there wouldn't be any type of ruling, lying governments, taxation, internal revenue services, or any of the stuff that goes on this planet in all these different countries. Because on other worlds where people are normal, money is outlawed. It isn't that way on Earth, and it's a practical issue. We all understand it, have to use it, because everybody's conditioned that it has value. So they exchange it, but there's really nothing behind it. The ink on paper in any country has no gold behind it or any backing of anything rare. It's just paper. People believe it's valuable, so they exchange it. It's conditioning. And that's okay. But it's not permanent. This world is not destined to remain like it is. There are people on Earth today in classified arenas that know now they don't have a future in space among other races the way they're heading to. They're never going to be allowed to take nuclear weapons on spaceships from Earth to other worlds and land and take over the natives and mine the resources. That's never going to happen. Why, you may ask? Because space is already occupied by far more advanced races that travel the stars. Many of them human, but not like humans on planet Earth. Earth people don't know who they are. They don't remember anything. A normal human child on another world, by the time they're 10, would have the equivalent of 10 PhDs of a person on Earth. By the time they're 10. And that's normal. People on Earth have no idea what being a normal human being really is because they don't have anything to compare it to here. That's because all their peers, all their fellow human beings, for the most part, are just as unaware about who they are and how they got here as anyone else, to great degrees. But most people really don't understand how they ended up being on this planet with no memory as a being. You see, because people on other worlds, when they're born, the being comes in consciously and runs that baby body from a distance. The parents know who that being is that's a mature adult. And that body, when they're raising it, the parents can actually talk telepathically with the actual being. They don't treat children like little infant, retarded little things that have to have their brain grown for 20 years in order to function. It's not like that under the worlds. People on this planet are destined to discover all this for themselves because everybody that lives on Earth today once knew it. How do you tell people on Earth they once knew this themselves when they haven't got the ghost of an idea about what you're talking about anymore? And you have to get their vibration raised up enough to where they begin to remember, to recall what they once knew. It's tricky because the person has to use their own free will, true free will, to co-create, to put a little imaginative effort into co-creating with beings that are far more advanced than people on Earth that can help them recover their memory of who they were and all of their higher faculties they once knew how to use, that were intentionally suppressed within people on Earth. People on Earth talk about having a subconscious mind. Well, here's the thing, on other worlds, they don't have a subconscious mind of any kind at all. If you have something subconscious, it means something you're not aware of, through which you can be manipulated and controlled. The subconscious mind is an artificially created domain. The programs that are in it are designed to keep people compulsively reincarnating and unaware of who they are. It's not an easy thing to confront as a being, to think that you might have been suppressed by some other power, some other beings long ago in galactic history, and forced to live on this planet with no memory. That's not an easy thing to confront for any being who hasn't been aware of it for, 10,000 lifetimes. How do you get a person capable to confront the truth of that again? You can't do it all at once. It would destroy their physical body. They wouldn't be able to handle the energy of it. So you have to get it done a little bit at a time. if their conscious cooperate, they begin to create their own way into freedom with the help of beings who are not from Earth. I would say, even in the first radio shows I've done and conferences I've done around the world, even in my books, that no human being ever evolved on this planet Earth. Human beings didn't evolve on this planet at all originally. Not any human being ever evolved here. Everybody knows dinosaurs were around 50 to 55 million years ago, and they suddenly went extinct. Since the dinosaurs were extinct, human beings have been able to live on Earth at this form for more than 50 million years. So let me ask you, where is that history? It's missing from people's awareness. They don't know it. But there is a history. Far more ancient than 10,000 or 15 or 20,000 years ago. Far more ancient than Sumerian, which predates Egypt. Far more ancient than Lemuria, which was a great continent that was destroyed 100,000 years ago when the pole split of this planet. It goes back way before that, involving extraterrestrial life. Human beings evolved out of the galaxy several billion years ago, not even in our galaxy originally. So you're never going to find the missing link from Cro-Magnon or Neanderthal men, which are extinct human-like species on this planet. We can come from them. There is no provable, verifiable link between those two extinct species and those. None. It's all theory, made up and taught people in school because they don't have any answers, so they just teach theory. So people can grow up and get a PhD and teach other people theory. There's a difference between what scientists in the academic world know with PhDs, which is very little about real science, and scientists who have been included in the classified arena, who are told the truth or exposed to extraterrestrials. And they're sworn to secrecy, so they can't even tell their peers in the academic world what the truth is. They have to keep their mouths shut. And that's the nature of this planet today. There's classified people, and there's unclassified. The people that are working in science that involve extraterrestrial technology are not allowed to talk to the people in the public. It must be very frustrating to have to keep that truth from everyone else. That's something that's not to change on this planet in a very large way. There isn't any power on or off of it, whether it's reptilian, greys, or tall whites, or mantis, or other types of humanoid races, or shots which are tall, cat-like people, bird-like people, or anything you can think of. There's no technology or power anywhere in this universe that can prevent what's beginning to unfold here for the first time in galactic history. And that's the mass awakening of a sleeping people on the planet worldwide. The future destiny of Earth has been significantly altered in the last 7 years in ways that cannot be reversed by any power on this planet. If people on Earth want to play among the stars and have the technology and the ships, be free of disease, to live 1,000 years to 20,000 years, like other humans do in our galaxy, to be able to get in and out of their bodies at will, like they're supposed to. That's normal. Then this planet has to become a benevolent world government system run by its wisest people who you can trust, who will not lie to you. And it needs to be able to accept the help from other worlds who live like that. If they want to have an open hand to go out and play among the stars, they need to be given the technology to do it for free at no monetary cost. Then the world can't be run like it's being run today. And there are people in power and control of this planet now that know that. They don't have the future they tried to manipulate over the last 60 years. It's heading into a dead end. They're never going to be allowed to play among the stars, amongst more advanced races, the way this planet is. To change it, they're going to need to openly receive help from other world systems, from other more advanced races. Not tyrant races, more loving, knowing races. You know, that mastered anti-gravity travel and cure of all diseases 200 million years ago, or more. It's a piece of cake for them. It's nothing. Mapping out the genome on the DNA of a human being, which was recently done on Earth, over 1 billion genomes. They know what those are and how to turn them off and on. Tyrants want to turn off certain ones in human beings to shut them down, to keep them ignorant. Loving beings want to turn them all back on so people can be normal again. That's just technology, the right use of it. That's coming. Basically, this whole thing is about understanding direct knowing perception, knowing certainty versus doubt and fear, speculation and theory, which leads people in endless circles that go nowhere. They never go anywhere except into more theory, more doubt, more fear, more speculation, no answers. Direct knowing perception is the ability to look with the inner eyes of the Atma or soul, the real you, not the physical eyes, out into the universe, into other dimensions, onto other planets, connect with other human beings on many other billions of worlds, and other races that are highly evolved spiritually and technologically, and chit-chat and have a little talk with them and connect. For many beings on other worlds, this is normal. For people on Earth, this is unknown. The thing about people on Earth is they all once knew this, but something happened in galactic history that got them trapped here, put on Earth, compelled to reincarnate many lifetimes with no memory. Not just one. They're made to forget that they didn't originate on this planet, that they started their journey out among the stars and from higher dimensions than the physical universe. Tyrants in Galactic History 101 that people don't know about is where and how this came about. People understand that there's an experiment of evil taking place in this lower dimension on Earth that has trapped people, but not just on Earth. And that this experiment, which is what my work is about, is being retired. The experiment of evil is being retired as a failed experiment. Why? Because it did not produce the results it was intended to create. Originally to motivate people to want to, of their own free will, create that which is of benefit to all life. Only. That's the only right use of the creative imagination. To produce, with intent and purpose, that which will be of uplifting benefit to all that exists, and not just life on planet Earth, all life everywhere. That's the natural native state of a normal soul, or Atma, as people from other worlds call soul, Atma. The Atma itself is not the physical body, it's a spherical energy, individualized spherical energy. It's like a sphere, like a planet, but energy that have the ability to look in all directions and talk with and travel anywhere in creation instantly without the limits of space and time. Normal people on other worlds that grow up on other planets that aren't Earth know how to do this. Children know how to do it. They don't have suppressive governments that lie to people. There is no money, it's illegal. And even though we haven't used such things in this world for now, because everybody agrees that it has value when it really has none, other than by agreement. People just are trained and brought up in life to accept that it has value. So everybody exchanges it to buy things and so forth. But in reality, it's created by tyrants to control people. And it's going to be done away with here, too. We were talking about the fact that this planet flips its poles 180 degrees overnight every 100,000 years. 4 ice ages, no, 6 ice ages, 600,000 years on this planet. They're quite violent, and they happen overnight. That's how this so-called mythical continent of Lemriel was destroyed 100,000 years ago. It was an extraterrestrial colony. Human beings in our form have been capable of living on this planet for more than 50 million years since the dinosaurs were made extinct. There's actually 50 million plus years of history in this world of beings coming and going from other worlds. Where is that history for the people who live on Earth now? They don't remember it. They aren't taught it. You can't blame people for not knowing when their entire governments and teachers and school systems teach them only about tyrant, royal family bloodline races in a very recent so-called history of 10 or 15 or 20,000 years at most. Rome, tyrants, demanded blood sacrifice. Samaria, a reptilian mining colony, demanded blood sacrifice. Egypt, tyrants, royal families, Yucatan, Mayan, Aztec. All these ancient mystical so-called cultures on this planet in the last 10,000 years or more were small little colonies on this planet manned by tyrant races who brought slaves here. There were many cultures on Earth that were also under off-world treaty about this planet that had benevolent, wonderful cultures here, like Lemriel. No one extraterrestrial race has ever been allowed to dominate this world. That doesn't mean they have not tried. There hasn't been a galactic war in this galaxy for 500,000 years. It came to an end. Bad guys lost. But during that time, there has been a treaty, and that treaty's been policed, and it's been broken under a Cold War type of thing. All that time, tyrants try to get a hold of property and people to make slaves out of them. Any way they can, just short of breaking it free, that would go to all-out galactic war. That's coming to an end. Out in space. So the tyrants will not be allowed to come back to this planet. The tyrants who were here in secret bases have been escorted home. Sent home. There are no more abductions taking place on this planet from little grays abducting people and getting DNA samples that was so popular in the 60s and 70s and 80s. That's been stopped. You have people that are suffering from implants that were done to them. You know, where they've been taken aboard a ship and had some DNA samples and they forget everything, which warps their consciousness and they get all out of balance. That kind of thing has been stopped. A lot of things have been made progressively that is not disclosed to the public yet, which is good, not all bad. People are still afraid of nuclear holocaust on this planet. They're afraid of North Korea or Iran or somebody like that, or Putin. Putin and the United States, or Russia and the United States, are building a joint space station right now. Not the International Space Station, a separate one they're building together. So how big of enemies can they really be? These people are shown on the surface in the news and exactly what's going on behind the scenes. I would have to say that what's coming up for people, all people, including tyrants on this world, classified military, they're all beginning to remember, to recall, that if they want to play out in space and travel among the stars, they're not going to be able to do it the way they are now, because space is already occupied by far more advanced, kind-loving, spiritually and technologically more advanced races. There's not going to be any way that our planet's going to take nuclear weapons on U.S. spaceships out at the stars and plant an American or Soviet flag or Russian flag or Chinese flag on those worlds, because they're already occupied. If we want to play in those worlds, then we have to join in a much bigger organization of kind beings. There is no other way. Star Trek, like famous Star Trek TV series portray, in the future, several thousand years from now, radioactive warp cores driving warp ships, because radioactive materials and nuclear weapons are outlawed outside of this planet. They don't use that kind of energy. It's dangerous and destructive only. It's man-made. It's altered. So you see that the future people think is there isn't, which means planet Earth and its people are going to have to catch up. They're going to have to turn things around here, and they're going to need a lot of help from beings from other worlds to do this. It's not about taking people that have been tyrants and lying to people and harming them, because what was done to them was done to them more severely than the population. They can't help themselves from being tyrants. That what is in them subconsciously that makes them tyrants has to be removed so that they don't want to be that way anymore. If you don't take care of the tyrant extraterrestrial race problem out among the stars, which is what's being solved now as well, it'll just come back and sneak back here on Earth and twist all the leaders right back in the same boat. So what's taking place now has to do with ending that tyrant nature out among the stars and on in behind the scenes here on this planet. So the destiny of Earth is now very bright. It's not what people think. You can't blame people for thinking there's going to be a nuclear war and they're all in fear all day long, because they don't know any better. They don't really know what's going on. But I can say that the population of this planet aren't going to be told the truth openly, worldwide, at one point in the near future. And no, I will not specify an exact date. It's better that people get off their butts when they find out how and start to recover this awareness for themselves so that they can be comfortable going through this change and meeting beings from other worlds, so they're not in fear about it. It's very important so that there isn't any destruction through this change. You gotta remember, this kind of thing has, out in space long ago in other worlds, it reached a critical point in their evolution where they could have annihilated themselves. Races from other worlds and higher dimensions intervened at some point to help them over that hurdle, to survive it without destroying themselves. We're beginning to get some help from beings who were reluctant to interfere here because they don't like to interfere in the free will choice of other people. But recently, when they became aware that all the people on this planet are no longer operating from true free will, in fact, they don't even know what true free will is anymore, they started to intervene here, because if you're going to leave people to make choices for themselves about their world, they have to be awake and free from fear so they can make proper choices. People on Earth are not awake. They're being manipulated to be in fear. That has to be stopped so people can make better choices and choose to live among the stars with many of the races that are far more advanced, that can share their technology with us, spiritual and technological, so we can advance further as beings. So this is why the Sayres and the Emerald Doorway, book one of the parallel time trilogy, were written. They're not just nice stories, they're doorways. They're interdimensional doorways. They help an energy come through this planet that will benefit people, help them remember. I hope that wraps it up pretty good. People can go to my website at paralleltime.com, www.paralleltime.com, and explore international conference videos where I'm just doing presentations around the world, radio shows, all links to the trade paperback or ebooks for these books that go to trustworthy online retailers. They're all provided there. There's nothing for sale on this website. I don't take anybody's credit cards or do anything. But they can find everything they need there, including a recording of my voice sending out the hue in 3-part harmony. At the link at the top, it says About Scott _HU. And they can listen to a recording of my voice setting up the you in 3-part harmony and do their own along with it to get a little boost and get headed in the right direction. And it's free. So I hope that helps. So here's something that will connect a person to beings who are kind and loving and very evolved that will hear it. Right from here on Earth, as it vibrates the pineal gland, which is like a transmitter and receiver. It's a telepathic function, and it sounds like on the outgoing breath. Person can do it driving a car on us. In their mind, just imagine it, it'll still be effective. Or they can do it out loud when they're alone, when they won't disturb anybody else, and really feel the energy lifting them. Again, it needs to be personal experience of each individual, because there's a certain protection that goes along with doing the hue. There's a new ray of intelligence moving through this omnipresent living spiritual force, hue, that underlies everything, all the way to the highest dimensions from the source, through the void space, right here. When a person begins to hue, they connect right to that source with no intermediary, nobody between them. There are many beings in the universe, like master teachers, that can assist us to make that journey. But they do not allow people to put them on a pedestal or worship them. Only tyrants demand that. People in other worlds do not worship the Supreme Being, because they're part of it, they're co-creators with it. There isn't any being somewhere in some high dimension that ever demanded everybody worship it. So it's created by tyrants between that force and us here, who wanted to control people, who demanded worship of them. All that's required is that people love and respect each other. All over the universe, all over the other dimensions, that's all. You do that, and you're practicing real divine love.
Okay, thank you very much, Scott, for today. I see you again next time. Okay, please see you again next time. Please thumb up and subscribe. Bye bye.